Flurpcast!
Original box, Supershow, the wrestling card game that, whoa, lost my computer. Wait a minute, I can't see everybody. I want to get the main view. I'm on gallery view. There we go. Can we start again?
No.
Okay,
Staying in.
That's fine. I'll count it. So this is the original box of Supershow. Wrestling card game made by SRG Universe, came out in 2015-ish, maybe 2014. And we've had a lot of games of Supershow, all four of us. Dare I say it's not only a club game, it's a league campaign game, it is a tournament game, it is a con game. It's covered like all the bases of games. Supershow is a big part of all of it.
It's a role-playing game, I would argue.
For some it is. Let's introduce the players. We have Biron to my upper and Extreme.
Nope.
Mike.
Yes.
Wow. So Extreme was the non-tardy one. I was the tardiest.
Extreme is almost always first.
Okay.
I wasn't first?
Nope.
Really?
Extreme's been on. Extreme logged in at about 5 a.m. this morning.
Wow.
Okay.
It's not his fault. He's Eastern time zone, but the state doesn't know it yet.
Yeah.
So you guys, do you like this game? I mean, before we get into ratings, it's a fun game, right?
I think so.
So let's talk about our experiences with it. And not starting with Biron, starting with anybody else. And tell me how you got into the game, who got you into it, how you got into it, and sort of what your peak moments of playing this game was.
I'll start.
Yeah.
Gen Con one year, I forget which year it was. I know WWE was releasing a miniature board game. I believe it was called Super Show, or no.
This is Super Show.
Obviously not Super Show. I forget what it was called, but it sucked. It was horrible. But I was really excited about it at Gen Con. I went and waited in line and bought it. And then as I was going through the dealer hall, stumbled across Super Show and did a demo and loved it. It's still probably the most fun demo I've ever done. And
how did they get your attention? Were they loud?
I don't think so. I think it was just I saw wrestling stuff and luchador mask, and I stopped and did the demo, and it's like, all right, this is awesome. It's super light to get into, and it was fun, and it flowed. Introducing the randomness of the die, I think, was really, I don't know, the genius move that takes it from being, well, should take it from being super competitive into more of a casual game. So that fit for my taste. And then from there, I bought a bunch of stuff, and by the time Gen Con came around again the next year, I was fully invested into Super Show.
You were fully decked out, dare I say cosplay?
Yeah, I had my own character and came in character.
We'll talk about that. I love that because I think that's a huge talking point to this game. And I want to get into, we'll talk about the basics. So I just wanted to kind of set the stage and let people know kind of how we found out about it, because I'm going to share this. They're very active on social media. I love that they've got an active Facebook group, keeping things going. Extreme, what was your high point of the game?
I don't know if I have like one particular high point. I guess when I got to the point where I realized early on that I had a lot of fun with the game, even if I didn't win the match. Like if the crowd meter went really high or if the match went really long, there's always cool stuff that happened. And it got to a point where myself and if I was playing somebody cool, like our goal was to put on a good show for the crowd. It felt like we were wrestlers rather than win at all costs.
Took you out of the game moments of playing a game and put you kind of in the setting of it all, and you really kind of, that was, I think, a huge part of why people really get attached to this game, is it gives an individual role play aspect to it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Valdrick, how did you learn about Supershow?
I was running the Gen Con Blood Bowl tournament, and Brian was like, I need to leave at certain points because he was going to get these promo cards. And
Who's Brian? Who's Brian?
Extreme. Sorry.
Because I want to make sure it wasn't Biron because he doesn't go to Gen Con.
No, he
and if he did, there ain't no way he's going in the room with Blood Bowl.
No.
No, I would though.
Unless it's
I would though.
He's got like a special order, like I want to get a pretzel with no salt, and only the one stand has that.
But anyway, and he was telling me about this wrestling card game, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And then I think it was you who then introduced me to it full force. And for good or for bad, you introduced Katie to it as well.
I got you into it hard. Then I got Katie into it as well.
And that, I will say, probably that reignited her passion for wrestling, and that has pretty much defined a lot of what she does for the last 3, 4, 5 years. So
Supershow started her getting back into wrestling.
Yeah, because we would occasionally watch, like we watched the Raw after WrestleMania once, and but watching, it was a combination of Supershow kind of got her interested in wrestling, and she liked End Zone Cash, she liked the New Day, and then that it snowballed, and then we started watching Raw and SmackDown and everything.
And then she's going to WrestleMania and spending gobs of money. Thanks, JP.
With other guys. Yeah. She left Mike behind. She's got a new crowd now.
Got her line of bulls to take her.
Apparently, she knows the names of the people that are always in the front row at all the pay-per-views. And
now, would you say that you are a certified G and you can't teach that? Wrestling joke here on it, doesn't matter.
Okay.
So you and Katie went hard into Supershow, and then also dedicated your personal life and your free time to watching a fuck ton of wrestling, from WWE to now independents and going to shows and all that. I actually didn't know that Supershow was the first domino in that. I didn't know that.
Because she was, like I said, she was dabbling in it just a little bit. She had heard about some wrestlers.
Well, I knew she was old school, because I remember she would mention, Piper and like, beer.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing? Beer goggles? What's going on over there? She mentioned a lot of old school stuff. And I just thought that was her just preferred sort of time frame. I didn't realize that plain Supershow was now we're going to
for sure.
It's awesome.
And it got me into it too, because I was following along. So
I will say that I think getting into Supershow also like elevated my interest in wrestling at the time, because I was definitely on kind of a low point of my wrestling interest, and playing the game and being involved in my version of wrestling kind of made me want to watch more wrestling.
Yeah.
The pinnacle of your Supershow career, Mike, and your games, what was it?
I had a couple of really good games. One was when I won the this belt right here.
Was that the
you just happen to have that nearby?
Yeah. When I won that against Blanco Diablo by throwing through multiple tables. And I had another really, really good game against Wap Caplets. I forgot what he was playing, but it was just, he was out of cards. I had 4 cards left, and I won in classic Mike fashion. I won the next 5 turn rolls and was able to play the cards. So we both had no cards left, and I won that turn roll. And
awesome.
Yeah.
Real quick, Biron, why does your penis look like Asuka?
It looks that way on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah. Because no one's ready for Brian's penis.
It was more colorful than I remember. So I think that it's a game that created a lot of memories. I'm going to go before Biron because you seem unenthusiastic as fuck. So
stories.
Extreme showed me this game at his house after we decided not to play the WWE game. I played Raw Deal years ago, and it's kind of funny because that was a fun game. It was a wrestling card game that licensed obviously through WWF at the time. I think it came out in like 02 or so, around there, and maybe a little earlier. And it was fun. It didn't feel like a wrestling match, but it did feel like a fun card game. You could get beat really quick. Someone gets a nice pattern going, but it was great. And I remember my buddy Bobby used to play Triple H. I played Jericho. We'd have a lot of battles nonstop with that game. It was fun. We knew there was a competitive scene, but like with most games, I didn't really give a shit about it. That was so long ago. Extreme shows me this game, and we played right out of the box. I'm pretty sure we did a El Super Hombre with Extreme, Snake Pit me, and we played a few times on your coffee table. Loved it. Thought I need to get this immediately. I don't think, Extreme, do you remember? I don't think I played it at Gen Con. I think maybe Slurpee Ball played it with you afterwards. Or do you think it was at Gen Con? I don't remember if I went to that Gen Con.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it was pretty soon afterwards, though.
Yeah. So if Gen Con was August, was Slurpee Ball would be right after, or no, actually it was probably before.
Yeah, Slurpee Ball was before.
Yeah, I don't remember how, but whatever it is, we got to get you said, like, you got to check this out. And I was like, this is really fun, super easy. Like we mentioned in other episodes, learning a new game. This was not a party environment. I don't know, maybe Extreme didn't allow the usual shenanigans at his house that night. Usually there is some like Canadians running around his backyard with cucumbers and shit. This didn't happen that time. This was normal, like, hangout. And we played it, thought it was a blast, immediately ordered this box set. I think it was their website at the time. And it was of the 3 box sets, I like these characters the most right off the bat. Extreme then said we should play this at Chaos Cup the day before, the Friday before, or Saturday night, whatever it was. I think teach people the game Friday and play it for real on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, let's do it. So we were just going to do a very informal, a wind down, not a game you get into, Biron, just a fun kind of whatever. People are drinking, just hanging out. I don't remember if it was before the event, Extreme, maybe you can help my memory, or at the event, or just after the event, that you said, why don't we do characters? Do you remember when that happened?
I think it was after. I think that first event was just all introducing other people to the game and getting people to play.
Did we retcon the first set of events for that that story?
Because the first event wasn't even an XCW thing, but then we kind of retconned it into. Okay,
that's right. So it was just after. I think it was because we saw how much people dug the game. We kind of already cranked it up. We didn't. It's weird. Usually you wait a while. You don't go for the shocker on the first date. We decided immediately to crank it up, immediately afterwards, because we saw, not just people local to us having fun, but the guys, Oklahoma, the Bolt Down guys, Steve and Scott, we saw Michigan guys, a bunch of people having fun with it. So we kind of said, this is fun as it is, but we could also just have people make a character and reskin it. At the same time, I think I submitted my Rob Graves character to a contest that there wasn't a lot of entries, so it was a relatively easy win, and there was only less than 5 people probably, because it was so new. It might have been before that even, I think. And so I started talking to Steve about getting that in there, because it was a character I made in wrestling video games for years. But at that point, we kind of said, there's some independent wrestlers that some people kind of familiar with. Most weren't huge names, but they were there. And then there were homegrown creations, 6 of them, I think, to start with. So it was a very small number of characters in there. And we kind of just took the lead almost from them, saying, well, if we got people interested in the game, let them buy a starter deck, let them buy a couple of good cards if they want, and then essentially, tell me what you want to do. I'll make you something in Photoshop. You can slide it in front of the card, and we'll copy a character, so that way we're not making up rules. But it's still, it's hey, I'm using the rules for D2. Okay, cool. Down the road, we encourage people to buy that character, so that way, because there was some talk about that. Totally get it too, because it makes sense. But that's kind of where it all started from. And this is the first game, well, the only game I can think of in my recent memory where it went from here to here in a short period of time. Usually, for me, it takes a little bit of time to make sure I get into it, get people into it. This thing was crazy right off the bat. As far as a pinnacle for me, I think probably that was it. The next Gen Con maybe, where we went and we kind of invaded. That was fun. I got an SRG shirt and then I spray painted a black, and then I did XCW over it. And even though I think I lost the X-rated title to Steve there, and then Extreme won it back. It was just one of those moments where it was like, it felt like it's still real to me, damn it. The meme. It was like, it was a fun thing to go to a Gen Con and like kind of semi-LARP this thing. And I don't think we had a lot of fun after that and before that locally, but I think for me, taking it to a different region and being known as the guys who were created XCW, and we have like this level of celebrity, which was like, whoa, like you give a shit about what we did. I think it was kind of cool. It was fun. So more about the rules and more stuff. I want to get to Biron. Biron, how did you get into the game?
You told me that I was going to get into the game. But then you conned me by saying, I'll make you a character. I made Nacho Bandit. And then I actually bought a real starter because they came in Chinese food containers, and that sold me.
Yeah. And then your next character, is that NeoCon?
NeoCon, yep. Which everyone thought was a heel character, but he wasn't.
Was it NeoCon or Nacho Bandit that you were one of our first world champions? I believe.
Yeah, it was NeoCon. Yeah. I had to win the burrito on a pole match against you to get my title shot.
Remember that, yeah.
And you were playing a wrestler who was good at burning through the deck.
Yeah.
But as I soon discovered in the game, it's all about how you roll that die.
how you roll it?
Yeah. You roll just right and win the most, you're gonna win.
So was I doing it wrong? I didn't.
Yes.
I mean, I rolled it. I didn't have a.
No, I just got to see that, and that was at Extreme. That was at XCon that happened.
It wasn't okay.
The first and only XCon.
Okay, was that okay?
That you know of.
Yeah. Well, that I was invited to. I guess I wasn't invited.
I want to put a match in your head, but first I want to see if your high point or most memorable is the same one I'm thinking of. What is yours?
I think it was the burrito on a pole match because I had no expectation of winning.
So for me, the most memorable was, didn't you take on Anthony and he ripped up your cards?
You made me run the gauntlet to get the belt.
Okay.
So I had to win 3 matches to get the belt, and then you instantly gave Sarlo a title shot against me. And I took the belt and I ran outside the room, and that was at Chaos Cup.
And then what did he do?
He took my deck and was just throwing my cards all over the floor.
Yeah. That was my first taste of, and we're going to talk about this as the episode goes on, about what happens when LARPing goes too far.
Yeah. And the thing is, you were more offended by it than I was. I was like, yeah, it was cool. That's funny. And it's even better that I still beat him.
Yeah. I think it was weird because I didn't know how to take it. Like, is this how we're going to do things?
Yeah.
It was, I've never been a LARP DM in my life, so I don't know.
You didn't know the rules, yeah.
I honestly, and to this day, and we're going to talk about this because I talk about the community, the larger community beyond our local, but I don't, how do you, how does that happen? How does things go too far? So I'm glad I wanted to talk about that. And you didn't have anything negative. That was all positive stuff about the game. I like that.
Well, yeah, because that was early on.
No, okay. Fair point. So, Super Show, very simple card game. If you're thinking, oh, I don't play card game, don't think of it like that. You roll a dice, and if you roll good, you get a turn. If you don't win the roll, you don't get a turn. So right off the bat, there's an element of randomness to it. You play a lead, you play a follow-up, you play a finish. They can try to stop cards or let them build up. That finish hits, you try to kick out, or if it's a submission, they try to make you tap out, and the match is over. Momentum goes back and forth. The crowd gets more into it. As the match goes on, it becomes a lot harder to kick out, just like an actual wrestling match. But when it does, it means that much more. Super easy to learn game.
Kind of on that, like it being not a card game, like I don't typically like card games. And this one, and I don't know, it's a bit of a harder sell to get me into card games because my biggest hang up usually is you play the game and whatever the theme of the game is, the card game never actually feels like that theme. It's just like it has artwork on the cards, and you're supposed to pretend like it all makes sense. Whereas Super Show actually feels like wrestling, and
I'd agree
it's
with that.
crazy. It's a crazy that they accomplished that with such simple mechanics too. It makes you feel dumb for not thinking of it first. Like
I'd be lying to say that Steve Resk creating Super Show was not, I mean, it was clearly an influence on me wanting to do Death Path and Extreme wanting to come up with other ideas for the games, because it wasn't a, you did it, I can do it. It was a, we don't have to overthink things. And I think that happens when you try to think about games and you overthink. Mike, you mentioned several episodes ago how you're at a stage in your gaming life where you don't want a ton of rules. You want to just play and have fun. You know, you want to read books, not read rule books. So Super Show did accomplish exactly what Extreme said. And it's pretty wild because it isn't like a traditional card game. At the same time I was learning Super Show, I was playing the Game of Thrones card game. It's a real card game in that there's a whole bunch of shit to remember. There's like these upgrades on people, but then I can't remember who's on what, and you're trying to get this. And there were some moments where it fit the theme, but then also some moments, like Extreme said, where it was just a card game with pictures that made you think it was like that. The one I always think about is super old Marvel game Overpower. That was that game. It was Marvel superheroes, but it could have been anything. It could have been G.I. Joe characters on there. It could have been anything. It was numbers on a card. So this accomplished a thematic game that I will say that gamers can enjoy and wrestling fans can enjoy. And I don't mean ones that are both. I mean, I showed it to people that like wrestling, that don't play games, thought it was awesome. I showed it to gamers who don't like wrestling, they thought it was awesome. That is a near impossible task to cross over a game like that.
And it's good for people that aren't traditional gamers too. Like they can get into this game. You can introduce them to this game and they can get it very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody was showing me the game, they wouldn't say this guy's not getting it. That wouldn't happen with this game. Because this eventually Bilo got out of his cage and he got it. Eventually got it. So it took 2 minutes to get the game. And it took 2 minutes to show somebody how to play the game. They call it play it forward because you can play the game once, learn the game once, and then show somebody immediately right afterwards. As far as, I know mechanic-wise, there are videos out there. There's a Facebook group that has a ton of discussion on there. I want to talk to you guys about sort of, it could be part of the pros and cons, but I want to somehow talk about the community that was spawned from this game. Because when we first started playing it, I don't think there was the guys in New York, because they were based around the play group who made the game.
Yeah.
There was guys in Kentucky. There was us in the Chicago area and also Indianapolis. And if I'm leaving somebody out that's watching this, I'm sorry, but that's all I can think of at the moment. And while we didn't create, we weren't, taking any credit for anything, but it seemed like as time went on, they had a Kickstarter every year, right? Yeah. So pretty much that was like their new releases for the most part.
Yeah.
As time went on, they have a Kickstarter, and it seemed like every Kickstarter, more and more people jumped on the bandwagon. Is that what you guys noticed with this one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely still growing. So,
so over time, the independent wrestlers, the quote real wrestlers in the game, they had some of those, not a lot of those. As wrestlers start to be hired by different companies, there's contract issues and all that. But they've done a great job with still having. I mean, they just released Rob Van Dam a couple weeks ago, which was huge in both ECW and WWF. It was crazy that, to me, it's a great get. That's a great thing to see, because that means trying to get independent wrestlers or, real wrestlers in the game, it's not over. I love that. I was kind of afraid for a while. I thought it was going to be like, here's your same group of 16 guys that are mostly like House of Glory wrestlers, maybe a few others. And then it was all just, here's our new characters, and here's all the ones created by the community that paid to get in. And I wasn't seeing up. So I'm so happy to see more and more independent wrestlers in it, because that's how I prefer how to play. What do you guys think as far as the evolution of the game? Thoughts on going from a small company with this game that was kind of just talked about to the community as you see it now online, especially?
What I think is most fascinating is that, you know, as Brian has mentioned multiple times about games being games that you get into, there's a large percentage of the community that this is the game that they got into. This is their game. Like, they'll go to Gen Con and spend 4 days playing Supershow. Like, I never would have imagined that before. Like, it always seemed like it was going to be a side game or something cool that you kept, you know, when you had a little bit of time, you pull it out. But
we call those people weirdos.
Would you say this is like, for you, in your gaming past, this is their Blood Bowl?
Yeah, absolutely. Which is awesome to see, because you need that passionate crowd, and, you know, I hope that they're in a positive light and bringing more people in, but sometimes they get a little out of hand.
Yeah.
I was amazed when the first couple times I played the guys from Kentucky that I thought I kind of knew the game, but they had every card memorized. They knew this game, and
Yeah.
I was blown away by their, like you said, their compassion and their commitment to this. So
Yeah,
Their
there's
passion,
definitely,
not
like,
their compassion.
Wait,
There's
their passion, their compassion?
Yeah, their passion for cum.
Oh, jeez.
there's definitely another level of the game where you're very aware of what's going on with your opponent's discard pile, and if you know what's in their deck already, you're kind of like looking for those things where you don't have to play that way you can still play and have fun and win even. But when you cross over that other thing, there's definitely a little bit deeper side of it, but it's still not like super. You're not going to get good. Like,
Well,
there's still a cap.
Mike, when you said those guys knew the cards, that is kind of a card gamer trait, like a savant level trait. I know all the cards, so I can play real fast, and I hate that. I remember playing with Extreme, your son Alex, one time, and he was playing super fast, and I was like, slow down. Like, he's really good at the game, but I just was like, I just don't want to process the game. I want to also enjoy the moment. Sorry, we're kind of playing wrestling. To me, we're doing a wrestling match, not a card game. And so,
and he's like that. I've told him many times to slow down because it drives me crazy. But he's like that in all games. That's just the way that he plays games, which isn't the way that I play games. So
I think that's an age thing too.
oh yeah, when you got a 16-year-old.
But so many times, like, I'll have to stop and ask him, like, you're really just playing this game by yourself right now, because you're telling everybody what's going on and what they're going to do. Like, how about
there
we
was
play
one moment
together?
though, when you were playing him, I remember, and he's like, oh, let me look at your hand. And you said, it's the same cards you already saw. I haven't won any turn rolls since then. And like, so he's playing fast, but almost too fast, because like he still wanted to see your hand, and you would think that would have, but he's a really good player. But I think
He was the one that brought out Play Pure Level 2.
Yes, he was.
oh wow.
Because of his gimmick on his card.
Yes, I neutralized his gimmick.
I think if I'm playing Super Show and my opponent says, can I see your discard pile? I'm like, I don't really want to play this way anymore, because even though it is public, to me, you're taking us out of the moment of the game. And that's where I start to lose interest. And there are moments when I play people that were out of our circle that would play like that. And it's not wrong. If anything, it's more right. But it falls for me under the category of you're doing it wrong. Did you guys
Makes it gamey. It makes it more gamey.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Like, they're not doing it wrong, but it's not the way that I would prefer to do it. But at the same time, like,
No, they're doing it wrong. They are doing it wrong.
When a card is discarded, like, that, I want to be able to see it. I'll remember what's discarded. I don't need to like dig through your discard pile. But
Right.
I've
I'm
played
fine
people
with
too.
that. It is public. And I'll say, if you pull a card from discard, I'll tell you what it is. I'm like, I'm grabbing clothesline. But the idea of discard pile,
Yeah. But I played other people too, where they're like, all right, discard two. Like, well, what were those two? Like, I let me remember what those two are, so I don't have to pick up your discard pile and go.
Yeah.
They
And
were
then you
my
have
two
to wonder,
finishers. I don't know how to play this game.
well, then you wonder, are they doing it for game reasons, or are they doing it because they're just in that, like I said earlier, that kind of savant card gamer mode? I mean, we see it all the time. When you go to Grognard and play Magic, there's a way that people play card games.
You mean you're talking about people with Asperger's, right?
Some of them, yeah. There's a way people play card games. There's a way people play miniatures games. There's a way people play board games. They're style. Not everybody that plays those games play that style, like we just talked about. But, you know, the style of I'm not going to talk to you much, that's a little more card gamey, not really war gamery. War gamers tell each other, oh, these guys are looking to charge over here, but, you know, there's a conversation. So we were adapting to a different style of play. Would you agree?
I absolutely agree. And we already said it once, but just to emphasize it again, like they're not playing the game the wrong way. It's just a different way.
Well, I would actually argue even more so. We're playing it wrong. If you want to go by, if it's, they're playing it more right. Doesn't mean it's my preference to play that. Much like our 40K episode, I'm not looking to score max game points in the tournament. I'm looking for my warlord to have an awesome story about chopping your head off. That's how I play these games. So Super Show for me fell under that. I thought it was really cool to get to the point of everybody we knew, whether it was people we played GW games with, Manta games, tabletop board games, everyone we knew played this game. And then a new crop of people started playing this game. Spencer, Anna, Marla, all of that, all these people that we played. Bad Spencer, sure. They all started playing this game. And it got to the point where even at that same Gen Con, Spencer comes up to Extreme and me and says, hey, I want to show you this game Techno Ball, which that turned into, like, it was like a reverse, like we expanded our circle of gaming friends into an even larger one. And then we just kind of, I mean, Mike, you could probably speak to this more than anybody because you kind of took the baton afterwards. But that's, I mean, it got to the point where it was all character-driven game. Now, you can set up as many matches as you want. We don't know what's going to happen in the match, much like a video game. You earned a title shot, but there's no way he's going to win. We want this guy to keep the strap for all year. What? It's a game. I'm going to try to fucking win every time. Would you, Mike, is that kind of what you saw happen at the evolution of Super Show?
Oh, yeah. And even like when we tried to take it off of El Scorpio, Randy, and like, and he was behind it too. It wasn't like he was like, yeah, I'm not going to throw these matches, but he kind of wanted to lose the title. So it was like a 4-round gauntlet match. And then he was, when Marla had the gauntlet of Rob Graves, so she had you in the corner, or Rob Graves in the corner. He still won, and it was like, fuck it, he earned it.
You never know. Like I said, I mean, we basically, try to, instead of playing the game as a one-off game or a tournament, we basically said, you are this character, and your journey starts here. You win these matches, you get kind of over here. You win those, you go over here. And it was just like moving up the ladder, moving into different title pictures. We went from, one title to 2 to 3 to 4, and it was just, it grew and grew from there. And like I mentioned earlier, and I think it's a good time now to talk about it, it just becomes difficult to skate that line, because in other games, if you're playing 40K, if you're playing Blood Bowl, if you're playing all these other games we talked about, there is a way to play thematically and a way to play competitively. And I'm not saying never the two should meet, but sometimes they're opposites. We were doing a narrative, story-driven thing, but this wasn't a role-playing game. It wasn't me telling you, Mike, you are now the champion. Someone became the champion by winning a card game. I had no say in that matter.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing that come up with, because if you're a wrestling booker, you're a wrestling promoter, you are deciding who is the champion. You are deciding the storylines, deciding someone's path. Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah. If you are a card game tournament organizer, you just let the matchups. You don't know who gets who. How to do both at the same time, it's pretty difficult, because like I mentioned a little bit in our Champion in a Game episode, there were some people complaining to me about the way they were booked. It's like going to the promoter, you're not happy with your character, but why does he get another shot? Well, yeah, and I had to justify things. Why did they get this card that lets you kick out of it and I didn't? Well, he showed up before you did and I'm all out of them. I don't know. I mean, there was all that kind of shit nonstop.
Another problem that we didn't foresee, because you and I were kind of leading the narrative and we were booking things, we didn't foresee people going rogue on us and trying to develop their own stories.
Yeah.
And do their own thing. And when they would do that, it conflicted with what we had planned. That it was like, well, you're
perfect example. I'm glad you brought this. I was actually going to bring this up. So I think Spencer and Anna have a match at their house. They're married, right? Or are they?
They're living instead.
I think they would say partner because they're progressive, and that's what they say.
One is not defined as a role, right? They're both partners.
Right.
I have 3 partners right here. That's weird. So they have a match, and I believe the finger poke of doom occurs where one person throws the match, the other person wins. And now the storyline changes because I would never put that in there because I think that's bullshit. But their whole thing was bullshit. In fact, that was their name. Their Bullet Club parody was the Bullshit Club. So now what do? I have, so I went along with it. I mean, I'm not going to be a dick and say, no, you're doing it wrong. These people wanted to play the game, and much like a role-playing game, at some point, things happen that the DM doesn't plan for. And I want to try to adjust and do that. So I did that. And I made Spencer run the gauntlet, and he beat 4 people in one night. And I'm like, you fucking deserve it, man. Now, he could have lost his first match or lost his second one or third one, and then we could add a thing that the commissioner set him up to fail, blah, blah, blah. I had to make it work. I'll be honest, and he knows it. I wasn't pleased with with the initial, what happened, because it's just, if you are one of the other players, you're trying to win games, win matches to get a shot, and then you see that happen, how does that make you feel? Once again, reality blurred with a game, blurred with pretend. It was such a weird thing. And I've had as time went on, I had a very difficult time trying to please everyone. And I know Extreme's going to say, don't worry about pleasing everyone, but you know me.
But one of the other things too that kind of blurred lines is that we were still very new with our big belt at that point, I think. So we were trying to develop the prestige of this belt, and then they do the finger poke of doom almost immediately. And it felt like it cheapened the value of that belt for everyone else. So I was a little upset, but after he won that gauntlet, then I was like, all right, that fixes everything.
But what's funny is somebody could always find something in professional wrestling, real wrestling, if you want to, real professional wrestling, that can be like, oh, well, remember when so-and-so laid down for this person? Remember when David Arquette won the big gold belt? It's like, okay. So now it's like justifying game things to fit in. It was just weird. It was this constant, like, blurred lines of everything. And it was weird. Like, looking back now, I don't live in that area anymore, so I'm not in any of those events. Looking back now, I'm playing the game with all these characters. I have 12 decks built with all independent wrestlers. They're all built. I mean, they're not the absolute best cards ever, because we're going to talk about that, how the game now has really good cards. And
I don't understand when you say built.
I chose the cards that go in 1 through 30 in the deck. I chose them. I
trust the manufacturer.
I know. It's too bad. So I'm having fun playing that way. Just one-offs. Now, it's a different kind of fun, though. This is just a very laid-back way to play. I'm not saying, I don't want to call it any regret. It's not a regret. It's just, if we played it that way at the beginning, we wouldn't have had that many people into it. Because I think it would have been wrestling people into it. Would you guys say? Not as many gamers into it?
And it would have been more competitive, I think. Because if you have like the entire, roster to pick from, you're going to try to, pick the best whatever, versus just getting good with your one character.
That's true. However, we let people pick anybody they want to copy.
I know, but you're stuck with it, so.
Yeah, you're right. There was no switching around. I will say this. Do you guys remember at kind of our peak of XCW when it was an event every month? Were there people with like the good cards, I guess the skill requirement cards and beyond, and a lot of people without? Was there a difference, or was it everybody kind of around the same where they just used what they had? Do you guys
All I know is I played Extreme, and he had 500,000 stops. And I
I
call
think
bullshit.
he probably had 14, but that's close.
Yeah.
He made me switch characters to the one, what's his name, Rising Sun. I thought my only chance to beat his stop heavy deck was to get lucky with that you only get one kick out roll.
Great.
And it's true. It's the only time I beat him.
Great character, yeah.
So I have a memory of playing against your Play Pure deck.
Yep.
Where you had a stop in it that was a skill required, like if your submission is better than your opponent's submission, and it was your 6 stat.
Yes.
And I remember you turned it over. I was like, why is that even in your deck?
Because it came that way.
Play Pure. And my guy was the one guy that you could have played where it would actually work against him.
What's funny is the decks normally come with, like if you have that card in there, the card it came with is usually a 10 or a 9 in that stat.
Yeah.
But
You gave me a stack and a
right, I probably gave him a starter deck, but then said, who do you want to copy? And that one didn't jive with what would go in here.
but
So,
they decided.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but going back to what you were saying, Johnny, I do think that we did have 2 groups, like one group that was buying additional cards and having some of the better cards, but it was still limited at that point in the game.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was a huge difference. Like even like
It was
I
pre-power creep. It was before there was power creep, I think.
yeah, like I had one of everything for a long time, but I don't think that gave me it gave me a little bit of an advantage over someone else that didn't, but it wasn't huge at that time. Now, if you did that today, now it would be huge.
Yeah, I think back then, you always felt like you had a chance even with a Play Pure deck.
Yeah, that was like my selling point of when the game first started was there's some competitiveness, there's some deck building, but pretty much anyone can beat anyone.
Yeah.
And now I don't think that's 100% true.
I think, and let's save that for the pros and cons, because I want to talk about how the game evolved. Like we talked about how our group evolved. Talking about the game evolved too. On the subject of playing the game different ways and playing as a character, we switch gears now and go to what we see on the Facebook group. So that concept of I'm in a character, my character is talking. We did it a little bit. Here's what we did. We printed up on color printout of your card, put it in front of there, and then we played a game, and a few of us maybe cut a promo, a few of us wore a costume, but it was not really like up here. It was, I might be in character, but I'm not going to be a dick to you because you're my friend.
Yes.
And if I did say something that was dickish, you know I was joking around. Now, that might be because we were close and we were friends, or it might just be because we got to a point, whatever it is. I think our groups, I say groups because, Extreme for a while had a separate one, but our group as a whole, the XCW, we kind of knew where everybody stood. I don't think anyone ever got offended or mad. If they did, it was because of I didn't get a title shot. It wasn't because you were mean to me. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
I don't know anyone got mad about title shots in our core group.
Some did.
I think 2 things go into that. One being that we knew each other well enough to know when people were joking stuff, and the other one is maybe we had better social skills than a lot of traditional gamers.
Well, we didn't really trash talk. I mean, the most I would do is I would go, oh, we're going to keep it bare. Oh, like I'd yell out my finisher, and that's about as role playing.
So Extreme and I we'll be in a tag match. We're the Dead Souls. We do our goosh, and we kind of maybe like they're tired. I take the shovel and kind of like do a little little sword play, just fucking around. I mean, like these are things that if you did it to somebody you didn't know, they'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And you might get punched. Mm-hmm. But we're having fun. Everyone knows we're having fun. Now we had a podcast. We had the old Slurpcast. People knew us from that. There was a built-in connection. I don't think we ever crossed the line. I don't think anyone in our group, even our extended group, ever crossed the line with anybody, right?
Is it also because, do we really have many heels? That's the term, right? Heel?
Yeah, I mean, we did.
But they weren't heels unless it was like cutting a promo or something.
Anthony threw your cards out.
Yeah.
And I asked him why he did that. And he said, because I'm a heel, and that's what I would do. Now, it's weird because a heel in wrestling wouldn't have cards because cards aren't in wrestling. And I don't fault him for that either, because that is what he probably should have done.
Right.
But then again, it was more talking, not doing. everything was blurred. But I guess my point is, even with reality and the game and the narrative all blurred together, it never got out of hand. No one ever really kind of got pissed off. I bring this up because when you look at the SRG discussion group on Facebook, there's some awesome people on there that, you know, we met years ago that took the game to the next level. But then there's also, it seems like every week someone gets mad and they have to defend why they said what they said. And it was like, I don't know if it's someone says something personal about someone's, you know, kid or spouse or mom or this, them, and there, or somebody's, you know, just crossing the line. It seems like there's a nonstop, an insane amount of apologies that has to happen. And I don't know how it got to that point.
Keep it PG-13. It's not that hard.
Well, I think like being on the internet and not knowing your audience very well. Like if we did it in our Facebook group, it would be okay again because we know each other. But when you're just putting it out there and you've never met a lot of these people before and you're saying this kind of stuff, then you've got to be super careful, and they're not being super careful because they're in character.
They say some spicy
Well,
stuff.
I think they have met. They may not have gotten to our level of camaraderie, but they have, you know, they've gone to tournaments and, you know, they'd go to the gathering, all these things. So I think some of it might be like, I don't know you well enough to shoot on you, if you will. But I think a lot of it is, I do know you and you know me, and I thought this was okay. I didn't know we had you know, I thought we had a safe word. It was like, I thought we had an understanding. We can go so far, but not this far. And the other person didn't believe in that understanding. Just a thought. You know, it's weird to see. I love that the game has grown and it's gotten bigger, and that group has gone from, you know, 100 to thousands. You know, it's great. I feel bad at times for Steve and his group of people that they have to constantly police that.
Do you know what I feel bad for Steve? Why does he have to be tagged in every single post? Like, I can't imagine that. Like, every time someone does a promo, you have to tag Steve. Like, leave the guy alone. Like, tag SRG. Come on.
I want Dad's approval on a lot of stuff too.
That would drive me insane.
But you know what's weird is, so they have title belts, the regions have belts, and then the company has belts. So to take the other side of extreme, why are they tagging someone? There's a built-in level of, I need to self-promote my character so I can get opportunities. And like I said earlier, we did that on a smaller scale, not a national scale, but a local scale. It's only a recipe for problems, because now everyone's campaigning and now everyone's trying to go above and beyond, which on one hand, I want to reward above and beyond. We Extreme and I used to come up with the points and all this stuff and who would get title shots and all that. We want to reward this person. They showed up, they had a great attitude, but then someone else, I'm winning all the time nonstop. And then someone else cuts a great promo. Now you're trying to reward people. What are we rewarding? Someone who shows up to play games, someone who has a great attitude, who will win a sportsman award in any other game, or someone who takes the wrestling thing to the next level. But maybe they might be a dick to play against. I don't know. Everything was blurred. So like I said, I can't imagine how difficult it is now to police, to one, encourage participation, but also have to be dad all the time to like, hold on, we need to stop right now. This person has this issue. You said this. You don't know what they've gone through in their past. And it's like a therapy session every week. I can't even imagine.
On a note, do we know what happened to the XCW belts? Who has them and everything? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Real belts.
I'm not there.
Bullshit Club has the tag belts. El Scorpio still has the, what's the big one? Not the Extracontinental, but the
Extraterrestrial.
Extraterrestrial, and who has the Extracontinental?
I took it.
I know, but I'm letting you.
We should have let Brian hang on to him forever.
Yeah. Who has the extra?
El Polo does.
Oh, really?
What?
Really?
He beat me.
He's not taking that to college, is he?
No.
I think he might. I don't know. Who knows?
I'm just saying.
I think Sarlo has the or the Rec has the stream.
Oh, we're using fake names. I'm Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, he bought the character. He deserves the name check. So
You're not Spider-Man.
I'm Spider-Ham.
Is Spider-Ham?
yeah.
So we went and got belts made. We
Yeah.
kept going on and on. We took donations. People kind of, and Steve and his crew donated to our cause. They dropped money so we could buy belts locally. They didn't even need to do any of that stuff.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they contributed a good amount of
Okay.
dough
Good
there.
Good enough.
But then we in turn made everyone back the Kickstarter every year. So it was a very
Yeah.
it was a cool reciprocal family relationship of the game, and they respected us, we respected them.
Well, one of the cool things on that note, like they were very thankful for all the people we brought into it. And I thought it was amazing. At one point we could step back and we could see this, like, I always looked at it as like a family tree of influence where it started with just a few people and like all these connections that got into the game through, the 2, 3, 4 of us.
But then all the inbreeding kicks in and you get webbed feet.
Yeah.
Well, they just had that last tournament, and it was a draft, so only one person you can only have one of each player in there, and there were like 9 out of 30 were XCW characters, so I was,
In Extreme, you mentioned the family tree, but you were actually the start of the tree. So but then again, you were taught from Steve directly, or one of his...
Pat.
Who's that? Oh, Pat?
all right.
Yeah. Pat gave me a demo and somehow I didn't run away.
Yeah. Pat was he was like, he works essentially for the company,
He's
right?
the creative director.
Yeah. So I think that it is pretty cool, like you said, Extreme, to see the family tree of this. It'd be fun to kind of like map it out one day, because I think it's who we influenced our group. Then the Michigan guys have a group, right, Mike?
They did,
So,
yeah.
Ryan,
The Kalamazoo people. Yeah. They were actually, they're far more active than we are right now.
But I mean, they are far more active, but they were branched off of us from Chaos Cup, right?
Yeah, because it was at that the Chaos Cup thing where you gave Randroid the smiley character and you put the bag over. No, the unknown wrestler, and you put somehow he got a bag. I had no idea he was a wrestling fan, but he got a bag and he put over his head, and that became his character.
That was another one. So Extreme mentioned earlier the great point about like it's cool. It's looking back, it's cool. Sometimes when you have a plan laid out and things don't go to plan, you get frustrated. Well, some people do. I do. But looking back now, it's funny because Extreme says to me, why don't we create some jobber characters that somebody could use at an event? They can use it one time, and then we'll get, if they like it, they'll make their own character. Well, I didn't know that people would get attached to the jobbers, and they just took those. I'm like, oh, fuck. The Shockmaster, nobody's supposed to be the Shockmaster. And meanwhile, one of Ted's buddy, it's a Shockmaster. And then Randroid took the question mark guy. It was like, those are supposed to be like
and there's this whole story about how the unknown wrestler was a failed clone of Dr. Skullface, and that's because he was all mangled under there. That's why he had the thing. And then I was playing Skullface at his house, so I created Skullface Jr., who was a failed clone who's desperately seeking Skullface's approval, and everything he does is to get Skullface's approval.
Nice.
And they've
like a Primarch.
Yeah, exactly. And they've worked him into their fluff of he's doing all the stats now as Skullface Jr. And
yeah, I love that kind of stuff. I think it's
it was great.
It's weird. It's almost like it's like improv, but also a script at the same time.
It's Dungeons and Dragons. It's totally Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, but how do you know when to break script, and how do you know when to go along with it, or when to shut something down? How do you know when it's like, dude, I can't let you do that. You can do this, but you can't do that. Well, why not? They got to do this. And then people get, feelings get hurt sometimes.
Yeah.
We never got to that level. I mean, when I say feelings are hurt, no, it's not like the level you see on now where people make a video and they say, hey, your mom's a whore. Hey, what the fuck, man?
I'm a heel. What?
My character's a heel. That's what he would say. Well, my character is me, and I'm going to punch you in the fucking mouth when I see you. Like, well, that's dude. Chill out, bro. No need to get butthurt. We're just cutting promos. Like,
Shut up, Snowflake.
Yeah, Snowflake. It's called cutting a promo. Like, yeah, but you're a fucking asshole. It's like, yeah, my character is a fucking asshole. I'm just an asshole. Like, we have blurred lines, but nothing to the extent of what it is now. And I've talked to Steve many times, and I told him, I was like, man, like, how do you do it? And he's like, I don't know. I just keep chugging along. He's got team members now. It's not just him and John. There's a staff now that helps with some of it. But I mean, I give them credit that they've kept it chugging along. Kickstarter every year, new stuff every year, and they're finding ways to mitigate the problematic promos. But they've never once said, don't do that anymore. Yeah. And so it'll be interesting to see in the long run if that works out or not. If it's good that you encourage individualism with it, I mean, it sort of is, because without encouraging players to take a character's role, they wouldn't have so many people buy new characters. And those are at $700 a pop right now. Jesus. So, yeah. So if you say, I'm in this game group, everyone's got a character but me, okay, I'll do it. Fuck yeah, I'm going to cut a promo because I'm all in now. I put all this money in. I've got to do it. So I think it's going to work out, but you also have to then play parents sometimes and shut it down and have talks on the side and tell people how to act at a tournament. All these things that I would never want to deal with. I would be like, can you just buy stuff on the website? But well, no, I mean, they're always making new stuff. So it's kind of a, I don't think you're ever going to get one or the other. They kind of go together. Would you guys say it's kind of part of what they've created is characters, which means I can sell more characters, like specially made, made to order characters, but also I'm going to have more of these come up in the future. Would you say that's probably going to keep on going?
Yes.
Yeah.
If people are spending $700, they're going to be like, I'm going to do what I want with it. I gave you $700. I'm entitled to post racist videos.
That's right.
I don't know if there were any racist ones.
Well, what if my character is a racist? He's a heel. You're supposed to boo him. He's a bad guy. Yep. Yeah, but he's a racist. I know. That's why you're booing him. But why do you take such joy in being him? Well, I like being a heel. It's weird. How do you know when to shut it down or when to just say?
It's like almost you have to say, could this be something that could be on WWE?
Yeah.
Someone shouting out swear words and epithets, no.
Well, I mean, to a point though, but it does happen. I mean, like not as much now. Like in today's time, they talked about, should we redo the Nation of Domination? Like, well, with the current culture and society, it's probably not a good idea. But there was like a Black Power-ish kind of group back then in the late 90s. Early 90s, Sergeant Slaughter turns heel, becomes an Iraqi sympathizer. Like, that's something that in today's era would not fly on TV. It would not fly in a game. But back then it did. So people are now taking everything to extreme, no pun intended, and seeing what they can get away with. Unfortunately, it comes off as, go fuck your mother. It's like, whoa, like, you didn't put any thought in that promo.
Is it just a lack of imagination on these idiots?
Right. It's like, I'm giving an excuse. I made a character, and now I'm going to call everyone an asshole. It's like, well, that's not really how it's done.
Next time I'm dragged in front of HR, I'll say, I was in character and I was playing a heel.
I'm sorry. My manager hired a heel. They hoped after a year I would turn face. I didn't. I'm still a prick. And I might be doing a sexual harassment angle next year. So
just get ready.
Just get ready. I'm not going to tell you who. I want to keep the surprise in there.
But give you a hint. Chair sniffing.
Chair sniffing IT department. That's it. So let's talk about the pros and cons of this game, Supershow. The unpredictable, I was going to give it a bunch of adjectives and I lost. Unpredictable, unparalleled, incomparable. Is that the right one?
Sure.
No one's copied it yet, right?
No.
Some have tried, but
yeah,
not yet. So pros and cons. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Bro, you can teach someone to play this in 2 minutes.
Yes.
At least in in my era, I guess it's like wrestling where they have different eras, like the Attitude, is that one of them, something like that?
Yeah.
In the early era, even if someone had spent all their money on all the cards and tweaked their deck and everything, you still had a chance to win.
Right out of the box.
Yep.
Right out of the box.
Yep.
You had a chance to win. That's key. So when Pat was showing people how to play, and he's got like amazing red deck at the time was like really good. The whole deck. He still lost games.
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen in a lot of other games where if you are experienced and someone's new, I've got all the powerful stuff, you got nothing, you're not going to have a chance. You don't win rolls, you don't play cards, you don't win the game in this game.
And the core strategy, at least again in the early era, is like, hey, if you have a stop any card, hang on to that. You might need that for a finisher, so hang on to that. But even when I kind of lost interest in the game, after I switched from Nacho Bandit to NeoCon and played for a bit, I realized I was winning about 50% of my matches, I would say. That's when I took it to the next level of Play Pure, where not only did I not alter the deck, I played with my hand exposed. I still won about 50% of the games.
Yeah.
I never got a chance to do the full phase 3 of Play Pure.
Which was what? No clothes?
Ever play stops.
Yeah.
You can only play them as the cards they are. You can never play a stop. That would probably tip the balance.
Then again, I mean, you know, what's funny is you mentioned about like, I got a stop anything card. I played them as a lead before. Because if it's the crowd meter's at 4, anything can happen.
Well, if you got the big bang boom.
I got that card, a follow-up, and a finisher.
Yes. Obviously, in general, you hang on to it.
I'm going to bet on me. But that's what I love about the game is there is a smart way to play. But also, the game can also reward aggressive, aggro deck, bro, aggressive play style at times too.
Well, yeah, like my example of when I was playing Extreme, I knew I had to win quickly. Because once you got a big deck of hands with all the stops, I probably wouldn't. So, yeah, I would play a stop any early.
Or in my Rob Graves deck, if things are going well, I flip so the deck is no more, and I now create my own deck by burying cards. I'm at an advantage then. You're not, so you should have tried a little harder to win early on.
And one of the most fun things that happened to me is it was a heel move, admittedly a heel move. I was playing Executioner. I knew he had the card that let him automatically kick out. I didn't remind him of that. That was the most heel thing I ever did. I knew he had it, and I didn't remind him until I pinned him, and I said, "You forgot you had that automatic kick out card."
You said I was playing Executioner. You're using code names now too?
Because I don't know his real name.
And to be fair, he's a
power gamer.
Playing, I won't say that, but he knows the cards he has. So
he's not playing pure for sure.
Yeah, it's not like you forgot to remind a 12-year-old.
Right.
Hey, you forgot to play your card.
Which I would also do. Yeah.
Yeah, but what you would do, but that is a heel move. But against Executioner, I think that was good. So
yeah. Did you have post-game talk afterwards?
No. I go, you forgot you had the card, didn't you? He's like,
oh, okay, you did tell him that. Okay.
I did, but I felt even worse that I didn't warn him not to buy Tarsag.
Well, I was asking that because I was hoping him watching this might be like, you fucker! Like 3 years
I remember that. I'm gonna kill you and wear your
son of a bitch. Like 3 years ago, he hears about this.
No,
That's a shitty way to find out.
Yeah.
So your pros are quick to learn, easy to learn, quick to play, quick to lose, quick to win.
Yeah, I love that when you can, in theory, lose, in 2 rolls? Is that the fastest you could lose?
Two turns you can win. Yeah.
2. Unless you got some weird, can play as a, some of the cards you can play it as a.
You lose the roll, play a stop that's a follow-up, and then win a roll.
What Mike's saying is there are some cards that are like, if the crowd meter's at, well, a lot of them are crowd meter, counts as a finisher in addition.
Yeah,
so I'm playing it as a lead and a finisher, which means a kick-out roll gets triggered. I think Schoolboy's one of those that does that. But
yeah.
But then towards the end of my tenure in the game, it's when the gimmick text on cards got so big and thick that I'm like, here's my gimmick. I don't care. I'm not reading that.
Extreme, what were you going to say a second ago?
EC3 had the 1-turn win option.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think Is that are you going to cons now? Are you talking?
No, for my are we just gonna do pros and then?
Well, I think we're. Do you want to do? Let's do all pros then.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do all pros.
Those
So
are
let's hold off on the
I think the other pro is not the target of the game, but the community you guys built around it with creating your own characters and writing this aftermatch stories were always fun to read. So that's
cool. Agreed. Extreme.
The pros are the ease to get into the game, how long it takes to learn it, how long you can turn around and teach other people, how fun it is. I have a lot of pros. I liked a lot of the wrestlers and stuff that are in the game. I thought were really cool. Being able to create my own character and have it officially into the game is very cool. I don't know why more people.
What did it cost when you paid for it?
It's in the 300 range.
Okay. Inflation's a bitch.
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. So, inflation.
Or it's like 300 for this level. If you want to be unbeatable, 700. Like, oh, like shit.
How much Steve and his crew as like creators of the game support, like will individually like reach out to you and support you?
Whoa.
Oh, Brian's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they showed up at just Chaos Cup and we had no idea they were even coming.
Is this part of your character, Extreme? Like he starts saying something good about the company, and all of a sudden the camera goes down. We're supposed to wait till next week to find out who hit him.
Someone did a knee drop from the top rope.
You know what a knee drop is?
Showed up at Chaos Cup that one year, and we had no idea he was going to be there.
Well, yeah, that I was actually going to bring that up because I was running the Chaos Cup Invitational. It was just a fun little tournament, and Steve was. I said to Katie, I go, Steve is. I was like, why does he ask me so many questions about this goofy little tournament I'm running? And then boom, he just shows up out of the blue and
uninvited. It was an invitational.
That he said, you know what? All these created characters, I got a garbage bag right now. Let's go. Let's go.
All these characters have stubborn.
All my guys are stubborn.
And that was the first Chaos Cup Invitational that won the SRG award for Best Independent that they renamed the Cactus Sac Invitational. So I was like, hell yeah. So now I get to put my face on, all the title belts. So
I love that Cactus Sac, which is Mike's character, created from Insane Clown Posse doing commentary over Japanese wrestling, calling Cactus Jack Cactus Sac. I love that, like, that exists. Like a card game exists with a character named Cactus Sac, and Violent J doesn't know about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Vanilla Gorilla exists in a card game, but an actual Hispanic rapper who's called Vanilla Gorilla doesn't even know that his costume of a gorilla with girls on his arms are in a card game. I love that. There's like a whole world that just exists in its own little bubble. It's crazy. Cactus Sac, look at that.
Yeah.
I thought Cactus Sac was a mix of was Cotton Eye Joe. Wasn't he? Or that was your intro music?
That was my intro music. Thank you for bringing that up.
That was a heel with my song. I hate that song so much. So Mike's like, not only is it my song, but you're going to have to go and download it, add it to a playlist, and you know you're going to listen to it a few times to make sure it sounds right. That fucking song, so bad. The Rednecks.
Yes, the Rednecks.
Yeah,
the necks.
Yeah. So Cactus Sac, great character. Are we on your pros? Or no, our Extremes pros. Sorry. Did we do yours already? Are you done?
I have nothing. I have tons of pros for the game. Those are just the ones I could think of. So I'll share some of my pros with other people.
Well, like your other podcast? What are you talking about?
No, there's two more people that are going to go if I just say everything.
Oh, us.
Yes.
I thought you said with other people. I'm like, do you have
on our action figure podcast that we're starting.
You fuckers. I knew it was happening. I knew it. I fucking knew it. Okay, Valdrick, pros.
My pros are mostly mirroring what everyone else has said. Again, there's a low buy-in cost. If you buy one box, you're pretty much in. Again, ease of it's a very simple game. It's not, there's some skill involved, so it's not totally luck based, but on the other hand, as we said many times, anyone can beat anyone. And it does have, like you said, the potential you can get into your character, and if you like following pro wrestling, there's plenty of independent wrestlers, and some of which are now, like Prince Pretty and all that. They're actually, well, and now they have the deal with New Japan, so if you're into that, you can play all those. So
they are releasing New Japan action figures soon.
Very nice.
My
pro
about the podcast.
Save it for the action figure podcast. My pros, agree with everybody else, but really it is just, I'm surprised that gamers that didn't like wrestling like the game. It's still, even, I'm calling it a pro, it's still surprising. That's the sign of a good game. You don't have to be into the theme to like it. With that said, it definitely appeals to wrestling fans because it feels like a wrestling match. The crowd is part of the match. You have to decide as far as what order to play things in. I mean, there isn't as much like I'm doing a body slam. People will be like, hey, it's I got a lead grapple. So there's still a little more wrestling playability somebody could do. Like, for example, if I'm building a deck, I might want to put moves in there that my character would do. But at a certain point, you say, well, I don't have that card. I'll just put this one in, whatever. But with that said, it still feels like a wrestling match because not so much the move itself, but the fact that you are always setting up something. It's not about, well, my guy wouldn't normally do a frog splash. It's about, I'm setting up, I have a plan, and then just as in wrestling, as a fan, because I like to think of this game, you're almost, while we are playing as the wrestlers, it is really more like you're watching the match. Because if you were in a wrestling match, you know how things go. If you're watching a match, you may not. So when there's a major kick out with the crowd meter at 5, that's like watching a match at WrestleMania or who's event. It's like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. All these near falls occur. That's the best part of this game for me is when it gets to that level. Who knows what's going to happen?
It's one of the games where when the longer the match goes on, within reason, tag teams can get out of hand. But with a one-on-one match, the longer it goes on, the more exciting it gets.
Yeah.
Because the momentum shifts are real and palpable in this game.
The tag matches that go long are fun, but it's more fun when you know everybody. It can get long for the sake of being long. What were you going to say, Stream?
Another pro I have is what Brian said with the momentum shifts. Like they feel so natural in a wrestling way, and it just happens. Like you throw everything you have to getting a pin, and then they kick out. Well, now they have a handful of cards, so now the momentum is going to completely shift because now they're going to be in charge as long as they get a couple of dice rolls their way. And I never would have expected that when I was first introduced to the game, that there would be that kind of back and forth in the game that just naturally flowed.
One of my favorite things that ever happened in his game is I had a stop any, but it was an early pin. And I'm like, no, I can kick out.
Yeah.
It's only a 7.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, you're out.
5, 5, 5. Fuck this.
Yeah.
This game sucks.
Yeah, that's happened to me many times before. You think I want to save it for later. In reality, it's like, no, play it because you're going to get it later. You're going to fish it out later. But yeah, I get it. As far as other pros, I mean, like I said, like everybody said, easy to learn. But just for me, that it feels like watching wrestling. Yes, I'm playing it, but it nothing else captures that. So the fact that it has gimmicks you can throw in. You've got chairs, you've got ladders, you've got shovels, you've got matches that you got to win this way. They found a way to have mechanics in the game. You deplete your deck, you win by countouts. You have no playable cards, you got out of the cage. You use this card, the ref saw you because I stopped it. Like, that's pretty cool that you can, the core rules are the best, obviously. But to take, here are the core rules. Now, how do we add all this stuff that wrestling fans are going to ask us about? They're going to ask about chairs and all this stuff. They found a way so far to incorporate everything with wrestling into this. And that's, so to me, that's taking it to the next level. They knew they had a good game system, but adding everything, it was great.
And they added that in without adding like layers of complexity. Like it just, you put it in your deck. There's a card in your deck for it now. Like,
yeah.
awesome.
And to take that further,
it's just amazing to me. it's amazing to me, this game, like, it's so simple and it captures its theme so perfectly. Like, they didn't overthink it. They didn't go crazy on the details. They just made it work.
Well, add a card to your deck, but it always sticks to the 1 through 30. So now it's like, I know when I was, Biran doesn't like me building decks, but when I was building decks, it was, all right, here's a really good card, but it would have to replace, if your skill's higher, like a 10, stop anything. Like, fuck, I actually might not want to put this 718 card in there. That's a great card because I might not want to lose that big stop. So even when building your deck, there's a level of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's boundaries. Like it's 1 through 30. Now in this group, you could probably give up, and who cares? I got a really good card I want to put in there, but in a certain group of those 1 to 30s, like the 13 through 26 or whatever, you a lot of times have to make tough decisions. And that doesn't always happen in card games. Most card games, if you're building a deck, there's if you have this card, you're a fool not to put it in. This game doesn't have that. It has, you're a fool if you don't use one of these, but there's many of those to put in, depending on how you want to make your deck, right?
Yeah, and you can really theme your deck. If you want to be stop heavy, you can do that. If you want to, like you said, like there's a lot of really cool cards that replace stops. So you're like, screw it, I'm not stopping anything, and I'm just going to go balls out. If I win, great. If I lose, yeah.
I tried to, when I built the decks, I tried to put a little bit of a theme into things. So like on my, I recently made a Sean Spears deck because he's doing a lot of heel things in AEW. So the whole deck is filled with like chokes, there's a chain, there's a loaded punch. The whole thing is filled with heel stuff to do. Whereas my Joey Janela deck has tables, chairs, chains, everything in there. My Ricochet deck, I think, is obviously high flying stuff. I think my Morrison deck is a ladder deck with the slam stuff. So I gave them all themes. I gave the finger poke card to Colt Cabana because it's kind of a comedy kind of thing you would do. And my Rob Graves deck is now all, I have some stops, but now there's a lot of skill ups. Yeah. So I got those I picked up the counters from them, which is a great, add-on. So I've got 11s and 12s and 8s or 9s and 7s or 8s. And that's a weird way to play because I don't have the stops, but now I have these ways to win dice rolls that you can't do. So they've really developed the amount of ways to play the game. Yeah. Extreme, you had something you were going to say?
I don't know. I forget what it was.
I'm sure it was great.
I'm sure it was.
Let's go around the table, starting in the same order. Cons of Super Show.
What order did we start in?
Biron, Extreme, Valdrick, me.
Cons. I think it does lack complexity, but it also annoys me when people make it complex. Building your deck is fine, but it also seemed to have a little bit of a power creep to it where as time went on, some wrestlers just got markedly better. Their gimmicks got markedly better.
And like you said, so when I was building these decks, there were, so I have, my decks pretty much are all actual wrestlers. So I'm looking at how I want to play them. The Johnny Super Show, John Morrison deck says, cards with slam do something. So I have to put in cards that have the word slam in it.
No, you don't.
Well, the gimmick's worthless then.
Yes. Just like Polo's is against my play pure style.
Yeah, I don't do that. Hangman Page says all cards say clothesline or lariat. So to me, that's building the deck. What goes to the other point you said, Biron, was now all my cards say cannot be stopped. Well, that's not.
Cannot be stopped. Stop any, cannot be stopped.
Right. That's not building to the character, and that's not building a play style. That's a really good card.
That's just power escalation right there.
That's the difference that I wanted to say is, my gimmick triggers with cards with slam, so I'm going to pick cards with slam. This one is, I have every card available that says cannot be stopped. You could put that in anybody's deck and make it better. It doesn't go to a character. Is that kind of what you were getting at?
I have 30 cards that say I automatically win. And
automatically, what was your thing you used to say? Automatically what?
Automatically dead. The other thing is, I do not care for wrestling. When I watch wrestling, it was Andre the Giant Hulk Hogan.
You have an Oscar action figure on your dick right now.
That's,
Or is it your dick? We didn't talk about that.
She wrestles? I just follow her on YouTube.
She eats soup. That's all she does.
Yeah, very slowly and erotically. The theme for me, it has no draw to it, and the people that got really too far into it to the point where, like when I saw people cutting promos, I couldn't help but cringe. That's just me. Some people like it. For me, it just.
We did promos. Did you cringe at our promos?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just a little too drama club for me. It's like when I used to play Dungeons and Dragons a lot, we played it more as a tactical battle game with individual models. When Todd said we have to role play, I go, I'm gonna go get a snack.
My character's a mute.
Yeah. My character's gonna go take a dump. Do you have the player's handbook that I can read while I'm in there?
You have to make the noises then.
Yeah. Well, I'll make plenty of noises.
He's really into his character. I smell it.
Mm-hmm. Whenever we stray, and this is true for almost every game, I guess. Whenever we stray too far outside the core group, I just didn't like it. The people in general, I don't like people usually. And it's also the one reason I played Pure is I didn't like the game enough to buy in and get a whole bunch of cards. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to do the deck building part because I don't like the game enough to invest in that level. So I'm going to play Pure. So I actually had fun doing the play Pure as kind of my gimmick was play Pure, and other people started doing it as well, which was kind of cool.
Not your character's gimmick. You mean Biron's
gimmick.
So
right.
Would you say, and this might be a bit of a therapy session for you to
right.
reflect on your own life, but would you say that you realized you couldn't win, so why try?
Yes.
Okay.
But I won a title.
You did. You were great.
Yeah.
But that didn't change your mindset of.
I thought I won it just because I got really lucky rolling in 4 games in a row.
But it didn't turn you into a person that wants to get the best cards.
No. It did not.
Okay.
Maybe it's because I came from Magic and got soured on it pretty quickly.
Well, Magic, I mean, is it still a game where, you spend a lot of money to be competitive?
Yes.
Yes.
So
it's along that lines.
That's a turnoff for a lot of people.
It is, but I thought, like, I'm going to play Pure just because F this game. And I ended up liking doing that. I had fun with that. It was, like you said, it wasn't my wrestler's gimmick. It was my gimmick. So I guess it's not a con. I guess there aren't a lot of cons to this aside from the Weirdos Online. Weirdos Online is the only true con.
Yeah. Well, and for you, it's wrestling. You don't like wrestling.
Right.
But that's it, though. I mean, that's your own problem. It's
yeah.
Not a con.
It's my issue.
Yeah. That's like 40K. Well, I'm against guns. I don't want to even look at them. It's like, well, the whole game's guns. So
kind of like Tyranids, and you can't play the guys with the guns. Then I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Extreme. What are your cons, if any?
I have like one continuous con, I guess. When I was introduced to the game, one of the other things that really appealed to me was that it wasn't collectible. Like you could buy whatever you wanted. There were some cards that got accidentally rare. I think that wasn't intentional.
Well, the real wrestlers that can't be produced again, the AJ Styles and such, that's that to me that falls under the accidental collectible because. Yeah.
But they could duplicate everything about the AJ Styles card. They just can't.
Yeah, I think they did. I think someone made like he's the phenomenal one. Someone made like the phenomenal one or whatever. So I think they did that. Like,
but there were some move cards that were rare and stuff like that.
Is that what you extreme, like the accidental rareness?
Yeah, some of the very early Gen Con promo cards for a long time. It was the Flip 4 draw one. That replaced the Flip 3. Well, those were really hard to get. Well, it wasn't intentional that they were super rare. I guess it sort of was, but that wasn't part of their selling point. Like they introduced it as a non-collectible game. And then as time, especially within the last couple of years, it's gotten more and more where you have to go out and get these booster packs. You have to chase these. And then the foil cards are something different where that doesn't affect gameplay. That's just craziness, but some of the cards, like there's
foils?
definitely
Foils, yeah.
I didn't even know that.
You know what, to me, I mean, well, we'll get to my cons, but I have zero problem with that. I'll tell you why, but you can keep
yeah.
going.
I mean, I don't mind the foils because it doesn't affect gameplay, but some of the other cards that are super powerful that you have to go out and chase and find those, like that I wasn't expecting that when I got into the game, and I don't really like that about card games. So I thought I was avoiding that, but now it's here.
Do you think that comes from the game in a way passing you by because you had everything and you kind of were at a certain level of, I mean, you know, you're a good player, but more importantly from I have the stuff standpoint, the game passed you by and you didn't really want to try to keep up?
Not in that way. It passed me by in that I kind of got tired of the constant rebuying or buying more and more and more just for the sake of having everything when I realized I don't need everything. But then like all these cards would come out that were more powerful than anything I had. So now am I going to go out and buy a new deck and replace everything I have or just play with what I have?
And you were a collector because you thought there was a ceiling on the collecting side?
Yeah. I mean, and it was very easy. The first few Kickstarters, like you go all in on the Kickstarter, you have everything for that year. So it was very easy to keep up with having everything. But then it started getting with these booster packs, which I don't blame them for. It's a great business decision that they did. I understand why they did it. It's just not for me.
But at least you don't have to get 4 of every rare card. You only get 1.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And-
Any other cons?
And no, that's it.
Valdrick.
And I will just, you know, some of the power creep comes from there's only so many things you can do, you know? There's only so many +1, -1, stop this, whatever. So sometimes to be unique or new, it may be more powerful just because there's only so many things you can do. But again, I'll mirror what Extreme said. When I first got into it, I knew all the cards, and then all these promos came about, the Armenian stuff and the Apocalypse stuff, and those were really good. And I'm like, I can't, yeah. So it got, but again, it wasn't because again the initial appeal was anyone could beat anyone, you know, at least 30% of the time, and then it became a little less, but it was still fun, you know.
Is that your only con?
Yeah, I mean, there aren't again, it's not I wasn't being super competitive with the game, so I was having fun either way, you know. And it's one of those games that even if you get, you know, even sometimes you get squashed, it was still fun and if it wasn't, it was over quick. But it didn't drag on for 2 hours. But and again, yeah, I don't have a lot of cons really.
Okay. I'm gonna, before I say my cons, I do want to say regarding the collecting side, I will tell you that after making my game Death Path and realizing what it takes to get to a certain point, and then I didn't get any further. I made it, it's over, it's done. I now feel for Steve and the idea of he created a game, and I bet the intention really was to keep it pretty, you know, we got 6 characters, I want to make a fun game, let's make it not collectible. They didn't call it a CCG, they called it a UCG, unpredictable card game. It was never, I don't think it was ever supposed to be collectible. But I think it got to a point where, what else do we do?
Yeah.
They're still making new characters, so there's that. But I think you got to have new cards. I think you got, now what Mike said is also correct. So if you take the basic mechanics of any given card, draw, flip, discard, bury, and then you take all of those, let's say there's 5 of them, and then there's 5 different other things that go with it. So now you have that many, and it's like exponentially, you're going to hit a certain point. I don't know how many cards are in this game anymore. I know there was at the, you know, when Extreme was at his, you know, the height of his love for the game, there was probably like 200 cards, and you had them all on a spreadsheet. I don't know how many cards there are now, probably thousands. But you, at a certain point, everything's been done. Every gimmick's been done. Every card's been done. Every move's been done, like the name of the move. And you got to just go outside the box. So now you have, instead of a suplex, well, they do a snap suplex. So it's like a quick, so you keep going further and further, both for game terms and also for mechanic things in the game too. The one I don't really like much of is the unstoppable stuff. We haven't really encountered it because when we played a lot, and then if we play again, we don't really encounter that. But that's apparently a big deal right now, because now it's stop blah blah blah, even if it can't be stopped. So now there are cards that can't be stopped, and then there's cards that stop things that can't be stopped. And then it's like, to me, that went too far, in my opinion. Now that's just my opinion. There's other people, but because it was like at a certain point, okay, Mike, the Armenian cards are pretty good. I get one of them for buying a Royal Rumble lottery. They send me over one. Like, oh shit, this is, I forgot offhand. Play two, maybe grabbing a strike and a submission from my discard or something. Instead of one, I grab two. They're pretty good cards. If I still win all the rolls in a row and you don't, and I have a good sequence of cards, I can still win.
Yeah.
No matter how good your deck is. So that sort of remained intact, but people do get the feeling that I can't compete unless I have this. So it's like, it went from not a con. So I don't think it's a con that more cards are produced. The foil thing I don't care about, because I don't care about foils. That's printing money. If I could print money, I would fucking print money. Why wouldn't I print money? That's what it is. You're printing money. You can control the flow of how rare they are. You control which ones are out there in existence. It's like if you were in the Blood Bowl thing, we knew how many Resurrection Gutter Runners were out there. We knew they're controlling the flow of a rare thing there. And then guess what? Then just print more. You didn't get one the first round, I get them. Does it devalue the other ones? Yeah, who cares? People are still buying them. I have no problem with foils because I don't give a shit about foils. Cards in the game, you have to have new cards. You have to have different cards. Now there's more cards. There's cards that do things like in the last Kickstarter that shipped. If you look through those cards, the words on those cards aren't anywhere close to the words on the first couple of Kickstarter cards. They're different things. They do different mechanics because we already exhausted this to death. We've done it all. There's nothing else we can do. They're brand new. So I don't feel like I'm missing out by not having the good cards. The only ones I do would be the level of unstoppable. I think that gets a little in the realm of, see, I don't have those and you have those, so now we're here. I don't think most of the new cards, the ones that don't talk about that, I don't think they really change the balance as much. They do a little bit. Like Extreme said, flip 4 instead of flipping 3. That's not a game breaker. It's better. One's better than the other, but it's not a game breaker. You can't stop this card as a game breaker,
Yeah.
So for me, it's a half con. It's not a full con because I do think as a game manufacturer that I don't know what his goals were for the first game. Was it just to make the game one and done? And he was, he had a huge level of success and it grew each time. If it is, more power to him. You got to make more cards, both characters and moves. But on the flip side, it is getting to the point where you feel like you can't always compete. Like I should have been able to make the 12 decks I have that I want to play. There's a couple that are better than others. And if I got really good cards, like ones where I had to show up to an event for or something, and they're never going to be on the website, then there'd be a pretty big difference in the decks. And that's where it kind of gets a little difficult. And I see where Extreme's point was on that. Outside of that, the only other con I have is what I mentioned earlier is the needing to wrangle in the attitudes of the gamers that play this. Enthusiasm is awesome. Everybody wants the people that play your game to be enthusiastic. But to a game that's pretty damn welcoming, the game itself is welcoming. The community needs to mirror that as well. Someone jumps in the group and says, I'm new, help me. Everyone's like, what up, man? Whatever you need. You want me to send you cards? And then they always start off strong. I'll send you stuff for free. But then a couple months later, somebody could cut a promo and say something like, what the fuck, dude? You don't know me. And it's like, it went from super welcoming to, I can't believe what did I just sign up for? All because of the level of ownership somebody has in a character. That does not happen in other games. I mean, if you're playing D&D, you know what you're getting into. If you sign up, I just got me and my kid, we want to play this wrestling card game. You don't know what you just signed up to. You thought you signed up to a wrestling card game. What you inadvertently signed up for was a LARP that you didn't know about. And you're going to get shooted on in a second. You don't know. It's kind of weird. But so far it's worked out for him. That doesn't bother me because I'm not new into the game, but I do think you have to police the enthusiasm level's great. Each Kickstarter has made more than the last, I think. The level of make a character went from virtually nothing to 700. So everything's going up. The cost per items are going up. That's great. And the enthusiasm is too. You just have to, there's a double-edged sword because you have to police the level of, are these people scaring people away? If I go into this group for the first time and the first post is a guy in a fucking bathtub, no shirt on, doing a weird, like, sexy fucking swim in the bathtub because that's what his character would do because his character's creepy. It's like, well, what the fuck did I just get into? Maybe I'll just buy this one deck and one and done, and we'll pretend we never saw this, son.
They should have an SRG for Normies Facebook page.
Yeah, or just a game group, like a SRG game discussion, and then the other one could be like, Well,
it's like World of Warcraft. There were the role play servers that all the weirdos played on, so you didn't have to be exposed to that nonsense.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, I think that would actually be a good thing. I think it should be I'm into this game so much so where anything goes. I might shoot a video and say fuck you. Whereas a guy getting into the game, or girl, or kid, or anybody, it's a little weird to see that as your opening experience. What I expect to see is, what's a good deck build for this character? Or, hey, when they say, if you have a strike in play, does that mean the one I'm playing counts as the strike, or does it mean any other strike? That's what you should see dominating a message group or a message board or Facebook group for a game, in my opinion, because that is what goes with a game. The other stuff can be great. It also can be detrimental if seen by the wrong person who takes it the wrong way.
Just like any fandom, it can get toxic or it can be great. I mean, every fandom's got that full swing. It's just, we tend to remember the weirdos the most.
Yeah.
We do. Well, because the other ones end. What do they mean by this? Is any other card? Yeah. The other ones in it say other. This one doesn't, so it's the same. Cool. Thanks, man. No problem. Appreciate it. Boom. Done. The other ones are, every time I see your face, I want to fucking strangle you and your family. Like, whoa. And then it's like, boom, 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 boom. I'm going to shoot on you. I'm going to shoot on you. And all of a sudden becomes like, are they going to fight for real at a tournament someday? Because I'd like to know first if that's going to happen. But I mean, that's where it goes so often in that group. And I love the enthusiasm. Don't get me wrong. But I talk about cringe. That happens when I see them like, fuck, imagine someone's first experience into this game. They realize I didn't just get into a game. I got into a cult. A cult, a community that is doing things that I don't know about. Some might say, cool, I want to know more. Somebody else might say, not cool, I'm out.
Well, you said they should create a separate group. They did. That goes back to policing, where they haven't kept all the promos in the promo group, and it's leaked back over into the discussion group. But there is a separate group.
Well, I didn't even know. I see that group all the time. I didn't know there was a separate one. I see the group that's the everything group and the trade group.
Yeah,
was there another one?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There is another one that all that stuff's supposed to be in, but no one's policing that.
Oh, well, what I meant was, don't make one for promos. Take the one you have now and say that's promos and start a fresh one with normal shit. The other way. Don't say here's one for normal shit. To me, that group is already tainted by it's too many promos. So
it's just discussion.
Yeah, game discussion. And let the other one let people leave it as they see fit, because it's already taken over. It's kind of like in a 40K group, there's a group that says 40K for grown-ups. Now, the 40K for grown-ups is now actually more juvenile than the original 40K groups.
Yeah, yeah.
At the time, it was created to be normal because this one's fucked up. That's what should happen in the other one. Make a normal one because this one's kind of fucked up because there's way too many videos of dudes in the dark, in their backyard, in their car, in their bathtub for the average player of this game to see.
The internet was a mistake.
It was.
It really was.
Anything else on this game you need to cover? We briefly talked about the mechanics. If you want to get the game, their website is fairly new because they changed it over. Now it's supershowthegame.com, and you can buy starter decks. You can buy all the cards you can want. There's,
Link in the description below.
Is it? Pachow? Pachow?
No, it'll be in the description. So.
Oh, in the description. Yeah. There's no Pachow needed on that one.
And when I say that, I mean you'll do that.
Yeah.
They'll usually put like a slur or something in there to make sure I edit it before it goes live. Anything else on Super Show we want to talk about?
I don't think so. I encourage people to give it a try because it's a really great game and it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Give it a try. It only takes 2 minutes.
I mean, I don't have the collection like other people do, but it's like the idea of I want to play this character. Here are all my ones. Here are my twos, threes, and the idea of I can build a deck, but it doesn't feel like a card game, like a real card game when you build a deck and you feel like, oh, I don't have any of these, so I can't compete.
That is a very adorable binder. Show that.
It is really nice. It is a dragon.
Dragon, the best quality.
It is not bad. So the idea of doing that, I have cards of my friends. The three of the four of us have real cards you can buy on the website. I actually have 3 of Rob Gray's cards too. I think the most of any. I don't know, maybe I need more, but I think that's the most number of variants. So I'll take that one if that's a truly no.
Your name in the rule book twice.
My name is that true? 3? There's somebody with more than 3?
El Blanco has 3.
Fine, we're tied.
Mm.
And
everyone
El
show
Blanco's stats have changed.
How much?
Wait,
El Blanco got a foil card.
A 4th one?
I have a question for Brian. Have you spent more on this game or War Machine?
Oh, War Machine.
Wow.
Yeah.
The problem was I paid retail for my War Machine. I'm the one guy in the world that did.
Oh, you didn't get them at auctions for pennies on the dollar?
Yeah, I was actually supporting my game store rather than, being the normal War Machine player.
Mike and I buy $250 box sets and leave them in our car for a month.
Exactly.
From ours.
I think that don't let the cons sour you.
No.
They're very small cons. The pros are gigantic. The cons are small. Me talking about some videos on the internet, that's not really anything. So I don't let that scare you. It's a fucking blast to play. If you like wrestling or you want to show a simple game to people, your gaming group or your coworkers or your family, it's awesome. And it's like a $20 buy-in.
Group. The cons are irrelevant almost because if you know everyone you're playing with, most of the cons go away.
So true. I don't go in that group to watch promos. I go because I want to see if I didn't know Rob Van Dam was out until the group told me. I want to see new releases. I've asked questions about verbiage on the cards. I see the other stuff that I guess I could probably unfollow or whatever. But don't let it's a great game, and it's the people that created the game and the staff that runs the company are very easy to talk to. They will message you or on Facebook or email or text. You can talk to them directly. If you have a problem with an order, they'll always make up for it. It's awesome. They are a small company that has grown every year, that has been successful every year, and I hope that continues for as long as they want it to.
I was just going to say that another pro is Steve and John and the rest are all very approachable. It's every time I've run a charity event, I ask them for donations and they give, very generously, and just a great bunch of people. So,
Agreed. All right. It is now time for the Slurpee rankings. Dare I say the ZR? The ZRS, the Slurpee ranking system? I don't know if there's an acronym yet. But it is the Slurpee rankings.
We all have our own system, I think, too, so I don't know.
Yeah, there's no set criteria. This equals that. It's whatever we feel like the second JP asks us the rating.
That's all it can be. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have a voice at Extreme. Are you upset at the way we do rankings? That you are, dare I say, the sourpuss that is the lowest average ranking?
I'm not upset with the way we do it. I was just, your acronym, I want to be careful with saying is one system when it's really 4 systems.
Okay. It is the Slurpee rankings, though, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm fine with that. And the order is most to least, most experience, right?
That's the way we have done it.
Yeah.
I screwed up a couple episodes ago, but
Yep.
at most to least. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I don't want to get yelled at again by Biron. There's a fucking dictator over there.
Yep.
Goddamn Fantasy Star 1 shirt. Singing a Master
It's
System.
Alice. Her fantasy name is Alice.
Well,
She's a space princess named Alice.
do you think it like
Yeah.
video games supposed to all have weird names?
Yes.
Final Fight had Cody. That's
the guy,
great.
the name was Odin.
You're Biron.
Mhm.
Most experience. This is a tough one. This is like a game in itself.
I'm the least, so
I would think Biron is least. Most number of matches under their belts. I've played a lot in my new residence, but it's not.
allegedly we've not experienced it.
I don't give a shit what you've experienced.
Surprise?
You can experience a fucking Oscar figure up your ass right now if you like. I don't give a shit.
Could be a downside?
Uh,
I'm the third least experienced. I'll. It's between you two for most.
okay. I'm gonna let Extreme have most and go first because
He was first. He was
the
the one
family,
that got us all
the
in.
family tree started with him in our group.
Yeah. He
Well,
was.
it's nice not to go last because I've gone last a lot.
Yeah.
So going first will be a little different.
Okay.
Are
Are you ready? Was this a surprise for you?
No, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I've given it some serious thought here. And I'm going to give it a 4. And I will say that my con did bring it down. This game would have been higher if it wasn't for the recent cons. But even a 4 is the highest I've ever given in any game. So that's saying something. I mean, it's
You've never given a 4.
I've given 2 other 4s. I've never given a higher than a 4.
Oh, okay. Okay. So this is for you on
And Riot Quest.
Relic Blade and Riot Quest
Relic Blade and Riot Quest, yep.
and Super Show. This is on par. Those are the top for you of gaming are those 3 games right now that we've covered.
That we've covered, yes.
We haven't done a War Machine episode. We haven't done
Nor will we, but
we haven't done a fucking Knuckle Duster show. You know what I mean?
Mall Madness.
Yeah,
Oh man, I can't wait to the Mall Madness episode.
Is there a G.I. Joe tabletop game?
God damn, there should be.
I was gonna
There really
say.
should be.
I'm amazed there
Ultimate
isn't.
skirmish game.
Extreme, reach out to Hama and let's make that happen. Just
Yeah.
kidding, I'll never make a game again.
It'll be Marvel. You could mix and match. Just say one Zartan. What?
Sure. Well, I mean, 40K, I saw a Cobra Army the other day, so
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want. Very good score, Extreme. I see 4 Slurpees on there now, and I'm getting thirsty as I see them. That right there, that's kind of theater of the mind, because I don't know if Biron's going to play ball or not. He could be a dick and just put him on now. But he didn't do it when the 4 was set, because he wrote down the time. I saw him.
Yep.
Okay. Over to me.
Yep.
As I said before, don't let the cons distract you. What's the thing people put online? Don't let this distract you that, that the A-team was sent out.
Niggles aside.
What?
Niggles aside.
What does that mean?
The small minutia problems.
I'm not going to use that word. It's too.
No, you probably shouldn't, but it is a real word. I assure you.
He said it.
Yeah, this guy said it. I love this game. It's a great game. The cons are merely just keep an eye for what's on the internet and watch the community. There's not a con on the game at all, which is why I'm giving it a 4.5.
Just as. Oh wait, no, you did give a 5. Never mind.
Underworld's 5.
Underworld 5, yeah.
It's still it's perfect. So I will say though, when did we start this? April, the show?
Yeah.
April 2021. we are going to do a review of the reviews episode because I want to see if anything changed with new games played, new rules that came out. You know, just saying. The only thing that can hurt the Underworld score for me would be getting like losing all my cards because the ones I have are too old. That's it. Like this. So I mean, in Super Show, I don't think anything can really. But we'll see in a year. You know. So for right now, 4.5, fantastic game. Only reason it's not a 5 is because a couple things we talked about. There is getting to a level now of the average deck is too far gone from the competitive deck. Whereas, you know, 3-4 years ago, the deck out of the box was still pretty damn close to a great deck that you built. So it's gotten a little further away. Still not by a lot because you're rolling a dice for the turn. If I roll all and I win all the rolls, I'm going to win the match.
No matter what your deck says.
No matter fucking what, I'm going to win the match. So if I have the boom, 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 the right sequence, I win all the rolls, and you don't have any stops, and I roll my 10, and it's more with the crowd meter, I will win that match, no matter how good your deck is. That's why it's a 4.5. Almost perfect. Baldrick.
I will also give it a 4.5. All the reasons that we have said in the past. Also, it's one of the few games that I actually played with Katie. So, and I'll be honest, we haven't talked about this. I love the best way to play this game, I think, is the tag team mode. And I like playing with it. So
how many great tag matches, like with me and Extreme and you and Katie, the Far Tacos?
Yeah, and the Bullshit Club, I loved all of that. Yeah.
Those are great matches because your partner, we didn't talk about, there's other rule videos, but your partner's rolling to help you. And sometimes you're relying on a match, and it's like, you know, is it a 1 in 36 to match? Is that the odds to match a D6?
1-6.
To match.
Both roll the same on a D6.
Yeah, 1-6.
Oh, that's all?
That's it.
Oh, I thought it was more than that.
Because whatever you roll, you got a 1-6 to match it. So yeah.
Oh, I guess good point.
And also just some of the other, you know, variants that we, you know, that are official or that we have come up with, our extreme matches, the what we used to do at Adepticon.
The X-rated matches are great. Yeah, with the weapons.
God, I love that.
Adepticon, we created Uncivil War. We did it, and Steve gave us credit on that one. But I mean, that was a team battle, Survivor Series-esque. We did some shit. We did some Royal Rumbles, different versions of it. So
isn't there a plate?
That's what they were doing on the Royal Rumble that they were doing. It was kind of our rules.
Isn't there a Play Pure thing that's not anywhere like
different from your Play Pure, but it is a Play Pure.
Because they learned about that at ChaosCon.
Yeah.
I will tell you this one thing. I was going to save it, but just in case it never happens. So I had a new federation here. We had a Botch Please was the wrestling podcast. That went away. So then we just called it like Big Peaks Wrestling. But if I ever by chance move back and we still play, I want to do a beer on pure wrestling. That belt will be only pure matches.
Yeah.
That's going to require some research to try to look at what those decks originally were. So
well, we'd have to come down with the.
No, it's a way to sell new cards. Oh, you want to play a tournament? You're going to need a sealed deck.
Sealed deck or whatever the lowest price cards are, you have to have those.
Oh, like Magic has that pauper tournament.
Right. Like
yeah.
Like I need a regular headlock, please. It's 12 cents.
But before we move on, we didn't talk about tag teams. I think that's a really great game if you're going to a convention for the first time. Sign up for a tag match and bring a friend along because then the two of you are going to have fun together.
And safety numbers.
And safety numbers.
Yeah.
I remember like going to Gen Con and like Extreme and I are a tag team. We didn't know people are like, you know, shooting on us. Like, where's Lemmy? Where's he at? Like, Spencer? Oh, I don't know. I traveled with my friend here. He's my friend too, but like, I don't know where he's at. Like, I didn't know we were in wrestling mode 24/7. I got caught.
And then people who never even played in our core group saying, "Where's my title shot?"
Right. It's almost like, you know what it reminds actually, in a weird way, it reminds me of, imagine if you saw a pro wrestler you liked, and he's at Olive Garden. Dare I say Virgil getting the meat sauce and the breadsticks. You're talking to him like you're old friends. Of course he's going to say, get the fuck out of here, or $20 for an autograph, whatever. like it's like a weird perceived. Are we at this level or this? Like I don't know where we're at.
Well, what's interesting is I don't know much about wrestling now, but it seems like wrestlers are allowed when they're not wrestling to be themselves, like on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
So and that's
also,
something I kind of appreciate.
It's weird. There's a different levels, different standards. Like for years, CM Punk was labeled he's an asshole because here's what would happen to him. He'd be on a train or an airplane with earbuds in. Someone would go up to him, pull the earbuds out, like, "Hey, big fan." Like, you fucking, I'm sleeping with earbuds in. You pulled it out to tell me big fan, and because I don't feel like doing a picture now, I'm an asshole. That's what would happen to people all the time. So they get labeled as a prick because you're going above anywhere close to a comfort zone where it should be. This is how it is. I mean, so that sort of happened sometimes at Gen Con. So I'm ready for tag matches with my friend Brian Mitchell, not character, the actual guy I know, because he didn't put the fucking mask on yet. Once he puts the mask on, then I know shit's on.
These are people that go in public by their internet handles.
They do. Because then I know mask goes on, couple of buttons from the shirt get opened up, and then I know, oh, shit's on. I see Blanco Diablo's chest. Yeah, we are in game now. We are in the game. Until then, it's just one dude standing next to another dude, hoping the corn dog's not going to be cold. That's it.
It's like in Over the Top when he turns his hat around.
Right.
It's like an engine.
Well, we knew the symbol. We knew that's what that meant. Turn the hat around, did that. When a wrestler that wears like a, what do you call it? Like, is it unitard, the normal?
Singlet.
Yeah, when they pull the straps down, we've now elevated this match. Like, I wish there was a way to do that in this game when you're playing as a character to say, like, we're now okay to do this. It reminds me of there's a documentary called Star Waits, and it was when I don't know if it was episode 1 or 2 comes out, but people are waiting around to get into I think it was the first one, Star Wars, and they wore 3 different color badges. Red lightsaber, green, and blue to denote how much you can talk to me about stuff. I wish, so red meant nothing. Don't say anything about what you think you read in the air. Green meant everything goes. I know what happens, and we're going to talk about it before the premiere. Blue means just the plot, or whatever it was. This should have that. Like, if we go to a con, we're playing Super Show, hey, you asshole, I'm going to hit you with a shovel in the fucking parking lot. Like, me? What the fuck did I do?
I got the red means go.
I got the red fucking lightsaber. I don't give a shit. Hit you with the fucking shovel. Like, character. Yes, you will hit
a Vampire the Masquerade thing, like in character.
Oh yeah.
I am not as I appear. They had like little symbols.
Is this a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
One's like I'm invisible. One is I'm not as I appear.
I will say, when comparing games, this is no goosh.
I still remember that time when you guys did that goosh thing 3 times in a row. I was like,
we did the
One
goosh.
of the other things
That was the greatest invention we've ever had.
Oh yeah, it really
one of
was.
the things I really loved was hitting the El Tornado Diablo and doing the tornado before I slammed it down.
Yeah, that's fun.
That's good stuff.
it was at an 8-year-old kid that was there for Make-A-Wish, but it was still fun.
Yeah.
He didn't appreciate your antics at all. Okay, so we have a 4 from Extreme. We have a 4.5 from Valdrick and me. It's like Marley and me. Valdrick and me. It's its own fan fiction. Biran. Marlon Birando. Dare I say, and Byron, Byron so far away.
I'm going 3.
3.
3.
Woo! Damn.
Because
3 chops on that one. Wow.
But here's what's awesome about my 3, and I didn't work this out ahead of time. It makes the average exactly 4.
It does, yeah. 4, yeah.
Okay.
With that, and let's go to the keeper of records. Is this our highest rated game?
No.
I can't tell you because I'm using my phone.
Oh.
I will tell you from memory, because I looked at it recently, I'm pretty sure Relic Blade still has the crown at 4.5, 4.25.
4.25.
4.25, yeah.
But still, a wrestling card game of all the games we've gone over, $40K?
Okay.
Pretty hot.
Super Show, better than Blood Bowl,
Yeah.
Dread Ball. What did Legion finish at? 3 3/4?
Below 4.
I think it was 3 3/4.
Yeah.
These are some big games, you know.
Yes.
Even with 40K.
Even with a salty bitch who doesn't like it that much, messing up the average.
Today, the role of salty bitch is Byram.
And note, you are still on par between you and Mike.
I know.
Yeah.
While this episode is brought to you by the Salty Bitch Viron, it is no more salty than Blood Bowl players right now.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh,
It's so good. I'm going to actually buy that book. That's how much I hate Blood Bowl. Their salt makes me want to buy that book.
Yeah, their salt is my pepper. You know, I want to get the rule book, and I want to put it on my shelf, and I want to dip my balls in it. I want to play it. Here's the thing. They're freaking out. It's the same fucking game, you assholes. It really is.
It really is.
The rules, there's some changes, but it's the same game. Here's the way the game should be. 6 turns, no rerolls. Half the field. Boom, fucking done.
Delete game, copy, paste, Blitz Bowl into game. Done.
Yeah. Well, little tangent there. Little peek behind the curtain of how it really goes. Super Show is where is it?
Behind you.
Oh, thank you. They don't have these boxes. Oh, they lost 0.5 because they don't have good boxes anymore. That was it.
How do they come now? Are they?
The box, it's a box, but it's like
It's a thin plat.
It's not a good box.
This is a fantastic box.
Tight fit?
Tight fit, thick.
As good as like an Apple box?
Yes, yeah, this is like an iPhone, it's like a tablet box.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it was an Apple box, the cards on the inside would have their own velvet lined.
Yes, and you would.
It's a
remove
this for the dongle.
The dongle.
Yeah, and the cards would require a dongle.
That's right. Anyway, if you like wrestling or you like just fun games with your bros or your gals or whatever you identify as, give Super Show a look. Supershowthegame.com. That's all I can say about it. I think we should say our goodbyes.
I gotta go read my bedtime story.
I gotta go wait for election season.
Florpcast! Brought to you by Zomboy. Eat flesh.